Legacy Week 8 has come and gone, and yeah, it was all right. You know, a couple decent games, a couple close games. To be honest, the favorites mostly won. There was one game or two that were kind of tight near the end. Yeah, it was fine. I was watching a lot of baseball. You're going to tell right away. This and the actual, like, our league stuff, post Game 7. The bearded me, the much happier me, that was pre-Game 7, so, you know. Anywho, let's get on to the NFL stuff. Every year there's one weekend where NFL almost makes it like if you're going to miss some of the games this week because you have to make Sunday plans at some point, maybe this is the one, and definitely this was the week. Now, granted, I'm a little more distracted than normal. I might be following the World Series a little bit more closely than in other years, but still, it didn't really punish me for not maybe putting my complete focus in to week 8. I mean, the NFL didn't really give us much, mostly double-digit wins. I guess you could argue a couple upsets. I mean, certainly the Jets beating the Bengals was a surprise to most people, but if you really look at that game, I mean, Breece Hall just really showed that he might be their best option at QB, and I mean, Flacco just keeps looking like, honestly, like I played Madden before it got all AI. I had like 2 players I liked and only really knew 3 plays, so I just kept running those, and he seems to be doing fine, so maybe he is a phenomenal Madden player. You could also say the other game that was a bit of a surprise, Miami and Atlanta, but I mean, Atlanta, you were starting a quarterback in Cousins that plays kind of like he dresses, so maybe you really got to hope that Penix is coming back sooner than later. The fact that Miami scored points was, I guess, pretty shocking, especially for those who've had Miami people most of the year. That was a pleasant surprise, but everything else wasn't really a surprise. I mean, I'm not going to make a joke about the Giants not having nice things because I already made that joke a few weeks ago, and Scadaboo's ankles was gross. I'm not going to make light of that one. If you have not seen it, please don't watch it. I'm not even going to put something up. I'll put up something cuter that you don't have to watch, like that ankle. You know, when someone actually says, don't worry, he's okay, his shoe's just on backwards, that's not good. That was not his shoe. But I mean, aside from that, we just got some other stories that we've been talking about for the most part for the week after week, or something that kicks us back to a previous year. Like, this is about the time every year that a running back is doing so well that they talk about, shouldn't they be MVP? And that came up again this week, just like it did about this time last year with Saquon Barkley. We got angry about the tush push again, although crazy enough, the tush push is supposed to be this aggressive play, but who knew it was more of a millennial play where they want all the advantages but none of the disadvantages. So we want all the yards afterwards when we get shoved forward, but if we drop the ball, it shouldn't count. I want to redo. Aside from that, we don't really have a whole lot. I mean, Love beat Angry and Bearded, but that's not really that much of a surprise either. It would have been a bigger story if it went the other way. So again, I'm pretty happy with how things went for the most part, but the week was kind of a meh. So I guess if you won, you're probably happy, and if you watched a game or two, you're probably okay. But again, if you skipped it, you're probably not hurting yourself. I don't think we have the same thing coming up in week 9, though. We got some matchups I'm a lot more excited about. Although I'm still going to be distracted about the World Series, it looks like. But anyway, let's look at our scores first. I'll try and stay focused and not think about the Blue Jays, and then we'll get to Week 9. Predicted to be close, and I think we all kind of had an idea that maybe Jeff was going to pull another one out of the hat. But if we actually take a look at Jeff's roster, he probably had this week circled. Couple of injuries and just a whole lot of bench spots. So the fact that he almost made it to as predicted, I guess, is not so shabby when even his stud didn't quite get there, but obviously he got some booty in it. So rough week, Jeff, but if you had this one penciled in your schedule from the beginning, not the end of the world. On the flip side, Rushkey came out to play. I think if you look at kind of his quarterback wide receiver connection, one going well, one going not so good, you might have a misread on how this went down, especially when you think about the injury. But Breece Hall was the running back 4, and let's not forget, keep going down. He's got the running back 2. He had the defense 2, and Wood here with the tight end 2. So a lot of late stages, bottom of the brackets here, got him over the bagel from Nico Collins. Actually, we had a couple bagels here. Think about this. He put someone with a 0 instead of moving him up and putting in Fields. That's how little confidence he had in his old quarterback. Maybe he should have had more because apparently everyone can score against Cincinnati. But who am I to judge? He almost got 200 points. Well done, Kent. Great week. A little bit more of a high-flying matchup from two people, again, that looked like they're making it in the playoffs. We had a lot of that last week. Newbies, Double J here, hang on to their sixth spot despite the loss. Mainly because, I mean, if you look at what they did, kind of got points from most places except for the tight end. Went a little over predicted. Benched their best quarterback. Flacco, weird, but he was quarterback 5. New England would have been a better defensive start. They were defense 3. So you did leave a little bit on the bench, but I think Rennie kind of had you. Actually, if you go down Tua obviously getting points, not in the top 5. I just think when Tua does well, we got to point it out. Defense 1 in Tampa Bay, and a big-time defense 1. He also had the quarterback 5, and he had the tight end 1 in Tucker Kraft. And I think with this and Jake Ferguson 0, I think Tucker Kraft takes over as the top tight end scoring for the whole year, but I'm not 100% sure. Speaking of 0, Rennie got one of those too. Didn't really seem to matter because everybody else stepped up. Well over-predicted. Beats a little over-predicted almost every time. Congrats, Rennie. Inverse records, but not the result that I think Gene was looking for. Marco gives Gene his third X on the year. Did have the quarterback 2. He had the tight end 4. He had a running back whose foot went the other way. And I think if we take a look, and then the defense here. So I almost forgot about that. The defense 5. And then if we look at the bench, we had the wide receiver 5 just because he didn't want to rub it in. Of course, looks like they made a deal to leave some points on the bench. Don't think it would have made too much of a difference. We're looking at 50 plus here. And if we look on the other side, they're really only, CJ Stroud, that's a great start. He wasn't top 5, but hey, 23 points from CJ. We're going to highlight it. Barkley was the guy that, and starting to look a little bit more Barkley-esque with the running back 3 performance. So it is a rarity when Gene underperforms. In this particular case, though, it didn't really leave a lot for luck. Marco massively went over predictions, really fighting for that last playoff spot right now. Connor deciding he doesn't want to leave it up to decimal points for another week. Put a little bit more of a handily one on here, 20 points, but you know, Tim, you fought a little bit here. Rechie Rice is actually looking pretty good. I think most people thought he'd come out of the gate good. Maybe not this good because that's a wide receiver 2 kind of performance. Your tight end in Dallas, another great run. He seems to be on tight end 5. Kansas City's defense was the 4th rated defense. So you had your points. You just needed like 1 or 2 performances to put him over. And let's be honest, it just wasn't going to be Cam Ward. Of course, if we take a look, kind of a rough week for you. So you're probably hoping for anything. The fact that you were like over predicted, you were probably pretty pumped about, and certainly over 140. But here we go, Connor. This is a little bit more your speed. And crazy enough, it wasn't actually Allen to give it to you. And it sure as crap wasn't your other quarterback. You kind of got rattlered on that one. However, your tight end pickup's looking pretty good. That's the tight end 4. Yeah, 3. I can count. Well, one of your tight ends was. The other one's not so bad. That's not great. Don't love those injuries, but Jonathan Taylor is the number 1 forever and for always for pretty much everything, including this week at running back. So we did already take a look at the bench. You didn't have a whole lot, and this was kind of a bye week. I think I know why you're losing so much. It might have something to do with Jacksonville, but maybe after the bye, Thomas can catch again. Not jinxing you. Don't want to do anything like that. Little scared of Connor when he gets on a roll, so let's just take this as it was, 1 week, and then you can go back to losing by decimal points. Tim, this one might come back to bite you because you're going to need your wins as we get up, but we'll wait to talk about that till we get to the standings. Later on in the year when I lose, but I score a lot of points and I say, if I would have played anyone else, I would have won. You can point to this one. I didn't really deserve this one, but I did kind of limp over the finish. And Timmy just had a rough week, starting with one of the banes of the existence of being an international teacher is sometimes just going to bed and having a player in and then suddenly not having him anymore. I think even worse too. I mean, you had a good running back performance from Denver, but on my bench was the better one, the guy who caught passes. RJ Harvey was actually the running back 5. Of course, he was on my bench, so it didn't really cost me cost you a whole lot. Didn't really get me a whole lot. Realistically, my team was pretty crap all week except for my quarterbacks, but my quarterbacks are great. I had 1 and 3 on the week. If it wasn't for them, I think I would have been worse than that score, which was our lowest of the week. I said I'd take a quick look, so obviously we're going to get in these ties. In a lot of leagues, it's like this. 500 seems to be the last playoff spot, and obviously people just biting at the bit here, so should be pretty interesting. Jeff and I technically tied, but he's got me by a few points, and pretty scared of the 5-3 here, because Gene I'm always scared of, and Rennie's on a bit of a jog here, winning 3 in a row, so kind of comes down to matchups, as it always seems to. Taking a quick look, obviously the Thursday scores have already been cashed. Playoff spot ones, we've got at least one here at the bottom, 3 versus 4, so definitely one of them getting a W. First versus last, but let's be honest, Connor's never lasted anything, so should be some tight matchups moving forward. On to week 9, and give it a week or two and we're going to start to see that little asterisk show up for some people clinching, and we're certainly going to start to see some people out of it. But right now, everyone's still on the hunt because everyone's within a couple games of that last playoff spot. So I know I'm just going to keep seeing this week after week, but hopefully you're going to keep listening to it week after week. Every game's going to matter. Point totals are going to matter. So check your rosters, get after it, and good luck in week 9, everyone.